Thank you for tuning in, Niaga Awani. Right now, we're in the topic where nearly half of Malaysian companies are actually looking to expand their workforce in the first half of 2025, where a sign of cautious optimism in a fast-evolving job market. And that's one of the key takeaways from Jobstreet by SIG's newly released Hiring, Compensation and Benefits Report 2025, which surveyed over 2,200 employees and also human resource professionals across the country. And today, we're diving into the findings on how Malaysian businesses are navigating the talent challenges while planning for growth and what they mean for both employers and job seekers in the months ahead. So to discuss further, we have the right authority to speak on this. We have Nicholas Lam, the Managing Director of Jobstreet. Nicholas, thank you so much for joining me this morning. How are you?
I'm good, thanks, and thanks for making the time.
No problem. Perhaps we could start with the statistics where the unemployment rate projected to reach decade low, which is 3.1%. So what measures, in your opinion, are employers taking to address the tightening labour market and the accompanying talent shortages, especially in high demand sectors? Please, Nicholas.
Right, sounds good. So this is a really good question, and this now it's equally important in both the acquisition space as well as the talent retention space. So there are three things that employers are doing, and this is what we're seeing. One, ensuring that we've got competitive compensation, and that cuts across increments, bonuses, having flexible benefits, as well as being more strategic in hiring. So many have adjusted salaries and awarded bonuses in line with market expectations, but also exploring initiatives like flexible workplace arrangements, mental wellness support, and upskilling opportunities to attract and retain talent, especially in high demand areas such as tech and digital. So let me quote some of the stats in our reports and even in our findings, right? So over 75% of companies awarded bonuses in 2024. 77% of companies actually gave salary increments in 2024, and 45% of companies offer flexible working hours. Companies are also focusing on niche skills and targeted hirings on high demand areas like IT, data, and digital marketing. So all these in unison is a key part in ensuring that companies operate in a very competitive landscape.
But looking at another stats in your findings, in the report as well, considering that 56% of employers cite a lack of skilled talent as their top hiring challenge, so how effective are current upskilling and also reskilling initiatives in bridging these gaps, especially when it comes to skills, particularly in digital and also AI landscape?
So you're absolutely right. So upskilling efforts are actually growing. We see that widespread. But the effectiveness of the programs we have today is mixed, if I'm honest about it. And the reason for that is, one, I think there is a certain scale or depth needed to close this gap. A lot of organizations, whilst it's growing in terms of upskilling programs, a lot of them still focus on general capabilities as opposed to emerging digital and AI skill sets, which is more relevant in future work readiness, right? So this is an area that we really need to go deeper on. So we see better outcomes in organizations that combine formal learning with practical exposure. So for example, job rotations or real-time project work that really helps with on-ground training. And another thing that we need in Malaysia is a consistent national framework to ensure that training maps to the demands of future jobs. Stronger industry academia partnerships is also critical. Things that align with the national AI roadmap is critical to ensure that we have a more consistent and scalable systemic approach in upskilling, driving the impact that we need to drive.
So national framework or roadmap is important, and also strategic partnership is important as well. But as Malaysia positions itself as a regional hub of AI and also digital transformation, in your opinion, Nicholas, what strategies are in place to actually ensure that the workforce is adequately prepared to meet the evolving trends or demands of these rapidly advancing sectors, especially?
Well, the good news is employers are already considering AI knowledge in their hiring process, with some of them actually regarding it as an essential skill. So many organizations today are aligning with national strategies and government initiatives to support workforce development. So let me quote some stats that we see. So about 70% of Malaysian employers evaluate AI knowledge during hiring itself. That's a massive change from what it was a couple of years ago. 36% of employers view AI as a core skill. And many organizations are adopting this practice, and we are seeing this grow with time.
Based on your data as well, there's 70% of Malaysian businesses now assess AI skills during hiring, like I mentioned earlier, and though only 34% consider it crucial at this stage, and that's pretty low, that's below half. But given the significant investments in data centers and also the associated environmental concerns, how are companies actually balancing technological advancement first and also with the sustainable practices and also resource management at the same time, Nicholas?
Yeah, so it's a good question as well. So the environmental cost of digital infrastructure is under increasing scrutiny, especially in energy-intensive data centers. We're seeing a boom in that, especially in the Johor region. So in response, forward-looking companies like MNCs, tech-driven organizations are embedding sustainability into the core of their digital strategies. So from powering operations with renewable energies to designing greener modular infrastructure, sustainable practices are no longer nice to have. It is a business imperative. So as digitalization accelerates, organizations that align with ESG goals with technological growth will be better positioned to scale responsibly while meeting stakeholder and regulatory expectations.
But besides all this technology, another concern that we can look into is on the mental health or work-life balance. But based on the report as well, only 45% of employers offer flexible work hours, while mental health support and family-friendly benefits are increasingly common. But that's the stats. The question is, with the rise of flexible work arrangements and the emphasis on mental health benefits, how are organizations ensuring that these policies are effectively implemented and accessible across all levels of workforce?
Well, thankfully, first on those stats, while low, it is improving, and we hope that this continues to improve with time.
Yep.
So with regards to effective implementation, I think a big component of it is how consistent are we or a lot of organizations in their implementation across all levels and all functions within the organization. That is really, really key. What we've seen in successful organizations is they've clearly integrated it into their core policies. They have made it their culture. Hybrid work arrangements to balance flexibility and culture, consistent communication on importance of mental health is really key. Strong leadership and commitment is a key one. So walk the talk as well, and leaders practicing the same practices that we speak. Investment into technology and communication tools is important to ensure that whilst we cultivate remote or flexible working arrangements, it is equally effective and productive. And last and not least, we need to ensure that we constantly listen to our employee feedback to ensure that whatever flexibility or mental health initiatives that each company is trying to drive, it is both meaningful in the policy as well as in application.
But diversity, equity, and also inclusion, DEI, also gains its momentum the same way as the mental health concerns as well, which is 40% based on the report. So what tangible outcomes have been observed in terms of employee retention, promotion rates, and also overall workplace culture, in your opinion, Nicholas?
Still early days is what I have to say. Early days and adoption is still relatively low in Malaysia, is what I would say. But for those companies that have implemented formal DEI initiatives, we are starting to see early gains, especially in the areas of workplace sentiment and diversity in hiring pipelines. So again, quoting those companies that have formal programs, they report higher levels of employee engagement, a stronger sense of belonging, especially amongst underrepresented groups. Some are also tracking improvements in internal mobility and retention, though the data on promotions is still, as I mentioned, limited due to its infancy stage. It is worth noting that most successful DEI outcomes come from companies that treat it as a leadership priority, not just as a HR function.
But when we talk about the job market, I want to take highlight on the latest initiatives, government initiatives, which is the Johor-Singapore Special Economic Zone, JSSEZ, where in light of this project has created of 20,000 skilled jobs through these initiatives. So in your opinion, how are local educational institutions and the training programs are actually adapting to prepare the workforce for these opportunities?
Yeah, so the report doesn't specifically cover this, but there is evident demand for skilled talent in this zone. So the key sectors in this special economic zone include logistics, manufacturing, technology, and digital services. So what we are noticing, at least, like local polytechnics, universities, and training providers are expanding their TVET programs to cater for this growing potential demand. And public-private partnerships involving MDEC, HRD Corp, and EPU are focusing on future-ready skills.
But considering the shift towards contract and also freelance hiring models right now, that's, mainly are contracts. If I talk to my friends, when they say they're actually the contracts instead of permanent, but that's actually normal right now. But in your opinion, what implications does this have on job security, especially when it comes to employee benefits and also long-term career development for Malaysian workers?
Yeah, this is really growing, especially in the current climate on global trade uncertainties. We are already starting to see a growing number of contract and temporary staff, and this is also consistent. If you look at the younger generation, a lot of them are actually seeking flexibility. And when you look at flexibility, you naturally associate, oh yeah, then gig type works or temporary or contract work is the way to go. So contract and freelance work arrangements are becoming more common because companies are seeking flexibility in this climate. And workers, on the other hand, they may benefit from greater autonomy or diverse experiences, but there's also uncertainties around stability, income stability as well, benefits, or even structured career progression. So a lot of the younger workers, and especially in digital roles, while it is seen as a viable path, it actually comes at the cost of traditional protections, one that a permanent employee would typically get. So employers that want to retain this top freelance or contract talent, they're starting to provide hybrid benefits as a way to kind of retain them, such as training access, performance bonuses, or wellness support. So these are your usual benefits or usual perks that a permanent employee typically gets. But a long-term solution is still required. Maybe a policy update as this pool of talent continues to grow in the freelance and contract space. We may need a policy update to ensure that non-permanent workers are not left behind in terms of protection and growth pathways. And as for contract workers, it is important for them to seek, meanwhile, before a policy is being set, seek self-development, active career management. Please manage their own insurance and as well as their retirement savings to plan for their future.
And I do agree with you. We still need the proper policies when it comes to these gig workers to have a better and stability, I would say, when it comes to their work. But let's talk on the recruitment for my last question, because we see that as companies increasingly incorporate AI tools into their recruitment processes, what safeguards are being actually implemented to mitigate potential biases and also that ensure fairness in candidate selection?
Yeah, this is a tricky one as well. Like there are two schools of thoughts right now. Like on one end, it's like, oh, AI removes biasness. On the other hand, is it creates biasness because it kind of follows your hiring pattern and all of that. So Jobstreet by Seek, for us, we are very big on AI. We embed AI in almost every single part of our hiring process, as well as in the products that we offer to our customers. So the way we should manage this well and safeguards, specifically to your questions, I think the inputs that are being considered into AI models in the future should be skill-based or merit-based. That already helps eradicate a lot more potential biasness and fairness. The second part is, whilst AI is in all parts of the journey, and whilst it's trying to promote efficiency, it's important that AI becomes more explainable. So if let's just say as part of the screening or candidate selection, to your question, it's important if the candidates are being identified as these are your high fit ones, it's important to call out why are they high fit. Because then you can remove the bias that people understand it. Look, so AI is there to improve productivity, improve efficiencies. It's eradicating a lot of the administrative work that typically a lot of us still do in today's environment. But what it does not do is remove decision making. It's supposed to facilitate decision making. So tabling as many facts as possible to facilitate that is more important. And that way, then at least a lot of our human interactions moving forward can be focused on having meaningful conversations with our potential prospects.
Again, that was Nicholas Lam, the Managing Director of Jobstreet, and what we discussed earlier is based on the newly released report by them, which is the Hiring Compensation and Benefits Report 2025, and perhaps you can find that on their website. And please you can find this whole discussion on all of our social media platforms, and that includes astroawani.com. And again, thank you so much, Nicholas, and I'm Nabila Khalida. Thank you so much for watching.